that was me just waving goodbye to my wife. She likes a little wave. I'm not really a wavy sort of person. There was a lot of waving went on when Titanic set off on its maiden voyage to America. That didn't go down well. Anyway, waving, hugging, kissing. I'm more of a see you later sort of guy. And having said that, we will see you later. Let's crack on. I'm having a little bit of a break, just 5 minutes. Found a nice log to sit on. I could have got my wife to drop me off nearer this point. We've come about to, I've got the GPS on here, I was going to say 2 miles. 2.2 miles actually. But the idea of dropping me off quite a way away was so I could immerse myself in the forest, the sounds and sights before I got to where I'm hoping to spend the rest of the afternoon and the evening. It didn't quite work out. I don't know if that's because sound travels further more easily in cold conditions, but I've had a lot of traffic background noise, and the plan to listen to the birds tweeting and the rustle of the trees hasn't quite worked out so far. I'm going to talk to you later when we get to where we're going about one or two of the things I'm going to do while I'm out here. One of the things we will discuss is it's to do with tracking. Now, I didn't exactly what you think, but as I've sat down here, I've noticed some tracks. Well, there's loads of them, footprints basically. Even the dumbest tracker can spot a footprint. And down here there's a dog track, so I'll just let you have a look at that, and it's clearly defined. It's easy to recognise what it is. Quite a large dog, I would say, looking at the size of it. But I'll come back to more about that side of things when we get to wherever I'm going to spend the night. I haven't actually decided that yet, but we're going to have a look around and see what there is. Ah, this is it. Quite an open area. Not ideal for stealth camping, which is what I'm doing. I was going to go over that way a little bit, but there's some loggers at work. The plan is to string the tarp between these two trees here. In fact, I'll go between these two here. That'll give me south's over there. The wind's going to come from over there according to the weather report tonight. So if I have a little fire here to keep me warm, it's going to hopefully blow the smoke away. So before we do anything else, I'm going to crack on and see if I can get set up. I wouldn't normally camp between, because there's a beech tree there and a beech tree there, that's all. I wouldn't normally camp under beech trees because they have a habit of dropping branches on you. These are quite young ones, and I've had a look up and I can't see anything that's going to fall on me at the moment. Funny thing with beech trees, especially really old beech trees, they can have branches this thick that will just fall off for no apparent reason. So generally I don't camp under beech trees, but I'll give it a go for one night. Right, back to work. So that's the tarp set up, using the Alp Kit Unker again, and I'm not putting the sleeping bag in here until we actually need it, because I don't want it getting damp. I seem to have some lumpy bits under my bed, but we'll sort all that out as we go along. Well, as you've seen, the tarp's set up. I've been sorting out the fire area. We're just going to try out one or two new pieces of kit. Well, I say new, I've had them a little while, but I'm just evaluating them. But this is the first time I've used this Euro Ike. Cheap. Little stool, fold up. Really light. I'm always having a problem putting my socks on in the morning, as you may have seen in previous videos. So I decided I've reached an age where if I can't find a tree stump, I'm going to need a chair. Right, let's see if we can get comfortable on that. Well, so far so good. The other thing I've been evaluating is I've got a new knife. I say new, it's not new at all. I've had it about a year and periodically I've been trying it. It was actually made for me by one of my work colleagues. Nice gentleman by the name of Martin. And he was brought up in a bit of a bushcraft world, foraging and that sort of thing. And I did his training for him when he first joined our company. And we got talking about this sort of thing, and he said, I really like making knives. Would you like me to make you one? So the one knife I haven't got is one with a full tang, meaning the whole blade goes all the way through. The cheaper Morers and the more expensive ones that I've got, they finish about here. So you risk, if you start bashing around too much, snapping the handle off. So I said, yeah, I like one with a full tang. So he measured up my little hand and we had a bit of a feel and decided that for doing some heavy work with a knife, this would be ideal. At least we thought it would be. So it basically asked me to test it to destruction. So I've been giving it a go here and there, and so far it's okay, it stood up, and I haven't actually sharpened it yet. It probably does need a little bit of a sharpen now because of the number of times I've used it, but we're going to give it a go here and see if I make some small sticks for the next thing I'm going to try. Now that don't look far to that bivvy over there, but if I was to cut my finger off, I might lose a lot of blood before I get to my first aid kit. So if you hear me scream, you know what's happened. Let's see how this works. Well, I have done this before, of course. And now I've lost my hammer. There we are. But not as much as I'm going to be doing on this trip. So let's do another thickish one just as a final test for the camera. It bent, that one. Stand still. Okay, let's try that. Now ideally I'm making sure that this blade, should it slip, is going to go into there before it goes into here. I know you'd like to see that, wouldn't you? Yeah. See, that went straight down and there was no way that it could come through to here. Knife safety is always important, especially when it's me that's using them. Right, I'll crack on with this, get myself some twigs together, and then we'll go and try my latest piece of kit. So next thing we've got, firebox. I've not 100% convinced about the practicality of these, but I'll give you my evaluation after I've used it. I always wanted one, and what is it, you say? Most of you people who do bushcraft and outdoor stuff will know what it is. And the reason I never bought one in the past is because of the cost, which is unlike me, because usually I just get the plastic out and spend. But it seemed a lot of money for what it is. Having said that, I actually got this for nothing. Now I say nothing. When I retired from my company, they gave me so much to spend on gifts for myself. I like buying gifts for myself. And one of the things I chose was one of these. So, firebox, portable stove. And this was the deluxe model. And the reason it's deluxe is because it comes with various accessories. Now, the problem I found was that initially, I haven't used it yet, was that the weight, 1.5 kilos, just over. So, for a bloke who's always trying to get the weight of his rucksack down, it's maybe not very practical, especially when I can just light a fire like this here. But for a day's trip, when you want to get a proper little fire going and cook yourself something up, I think it might be alright. Anyway, what I've done is I've left some of the parts that I aren't intending to use, and if you have a quick look now at this picture, you'll see that there's a couple of grill plates to go on the top, and another piece which is designed to be the grate, but instead of having the grate at the bottom of the box, you have it at the top, and a couple of extra ones of these, which you'll see what these do in a minute. Let's stick them in there because I'm just as likely to lose them. Now, like I say, I've never ever used this before, so I've got a vague idea what I'm doing. Okay, so I've opened that out, and then this little tray in the bottom has dropped down. That's my grate, and this bit, it tells me, is the, it's not square this, which is why it all falls out so easily. This is the ashtray, not for smoking, because I don't smoke. Got too many other vices, you see. If I'd taken up smoking as well, I'd been dead by now. So this is a wind flap here, either to protect it from the wind or to let more air in. There isn't any wind at the moment, so that's not going to be an issue. Anyway, we're going to give it a go. We're going to put it there. Right. Now these, and I've got two spare of these at home to do various things with. All these holes in the side of it have a reason for putting these in, sliding them through there, through there, through there. There's about 20 different ways you can use this. I'm just going to start a bit of a fire in the bottom, and we're going to do some cooking. But I think initially I'll probably try putting them, shall I try putting them there? I don't know. What am I going to cook in? Let's think. Right, I'm going to go and get a cookpot out and have a look and see how it fits, and then we'll come back and see if we can start a fire. Right, let's start a fire. No rubbing sticks together today or anything. Zip fire lighters. I do have my other starter kit in here, but today we're going to put matches in there and bits of this and bits of that. I'm going to take them out for a minute because they're going to get in the way. He said there's no wind, just a little bit. Right, put that there. So oh, it's gone out. Try again. As usual, burny fingers. Let that get going a little bit. I'm going to put some of this, see if this will take, birch bark twigs, one of my favourites. Put that in there. So what we want to do is get this thing going and get ourselves a layer of embers in the bottom. Obviously, if you're the sort of person that likes a little bit of a campfire but doesn't want to go to all the problem of making a big fire to cook on, smoke, then this is ideal, and it's a lot safer to use in a forest environment if it's dry weather. Well, it's going. I think I need to see if some of these sticks I cut will actually take, because I don't really know how dry they are. Sure, I said something earlier about the wind coming across and taking the smoke away. Well, that's fine if there is wind. If there ain't any, it ain't going to happen. Ugh. Great thing about birch, here there, is that it burns when it's wet. Right, I'll switch off, wait while this gets going, and see what we're going to cook. Well, it's taken a little while to get enough embers in the bottom. One of the problems was the sticks I chopped are just a little bit damp, so I've had to keep feeding it with birch bark, and we've now got, burny finger, some nice embers in the bottom. I'm going to use this pan. I've got my favourite pan, my big one. Now, what are we going to have to eat? Well, a work colleague of mine, Mark, suddenly got enthusiastic about sort of camping out and bushcraft and stuff like this, and he wanted to have a go at dehydrating his own food and packing shit. So I should point out to this particular Mark, one of my jobs was to go around with a checklist and check that they were doing their work correctly. And due to the fact that I was always checking at the time he started work, he was a constant recipient of my attentions. Not that he was taking any bloody notice, to be fair. So when he offered me this, and we've got another one here, we've got a rice and curry or something, he said, give it a go and tell me what you think. Well, I wasn't sure if, because of all this spot checking and picking on him all the time, he wasn't trying to poison me. So I put it off and put it off, and it's now a year later. So I thought, well, I'm 67. If I die now, it's not the end of the world, is it? I've had a good life. So I'm going to give it a go. But I'm just going to use this. I was going to use this small container which actually sits inside the fire. But I'm a bit concerned that there's going to be too much and the pan's not going to be big enough. So I'm going to take this out of here. If all else fails, I've got a Wayfarer ready meal. So I'm not sure how much water to put in, but obviously we've got to get it boiling, so we'll put that in there. Got to be careful because I haven't got any water around here, so all I've got is what I carried in with me. Right, let's pop that on there. Now my bit of string there, that's for me to hang it off a branch. Now all we've got to do is wait till the water gets boiling and pop this in. So what shall we say, 10 minutes maybe, 10 minutes, 15 to cook. So what time is it now? It's 1:15, so 1:45, should be dead by 2:50. Yeah, that should work out alright. Right, I'll switch you off again and we'll wait till the water's boiled. I'll get it going and we'll see what happens. Just remember, if I'm found dead in the morning here, Mark, he's the fella you need to go find. It's ready. 35 minutes. Problem was I put a little bit more wood in there and it's smoking. So I'm going to give it a taste. If it's alright, I'm going to go move over there, away from the smoke, and tuck in. Let's have a look. Great thing I like about this pan is it's got a handle as well. As does this one if it comes to it, but I do like this one. Right. Well, my first impression would be that some people just like spaghetti bolognese with just spaghetti and tomato. I like a meat bolognese, which this is. Whether it's real meat or vegetarian meat or just something that he found lying in the road, you know, roadkill, and thought, I know somebody will eat that. I don't know, but we'll give it a go. Now I'm a bit of a baby eater. When I have spaghetti at home, I chop it into baby-sized pieces. None of this slabbering down your chin and all over your best clothes. Right. It's not the best, far from the worst. No worse than these pack meals. There's nothing wrong with it. I wouldn't produce it if I was going on Saturday morning kitchen, but maybe it just needs a little something. I don't know what. Maybe a little bit of tomato ketchup or something like that. Well, I'm going to sit here and tuck into this, and then we'll go on to the next phase of the afternoon. We're just going out to set the trail camel, and at the beginning of the video I mentioned something about tracking. Last year I went on a tracking awareness course with a company called Woodland Ways. They've got bases in Derbyshire and Oxfordshire, and it's not a case of you go there, you learn to track animals or mad axemen I shouldn't have said mad axeman, I'm sleeping out here tonight. I'll try and forget that. You can't learn that. It's going to take you 10, 15, 20 years, and you've got to be doing it all the time, and you've got to be working with experts who can teach you. So one day you don't really learn a lot. Having said that, the word awareness is the important word in this course, because although we do see tracks, and the experts, they can tell you what it's a track of, which foot it is, front, rear, which way it's turning, so much stuff about it, you know, if it's running, walking. Sometimes, depending on how the track's positioned, they can tell if it's looking right or left. So it's quite fascinating. But for me, what it does is, initially for a one-day course, is it teaches you that you've been walking around with your eyes shut, and it encourages you to be aware of what's going on, not just tracks on the ground, but the birds in the trees, what the noises they're making, what signals are they giving off, the sound of the woods, the wind, insects. There's so many things that can inform you as to what's going on in your environment. So that's what I found interesting. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm trying to find some sign of, to be honest, deer. You know, it's the easiest thing that I can want to spot out here, so I can have some idea where I might be able to set my trail cam up. Now, I've put this trail cam out 2 or 3 times before when I've been wandering in the woods. I've just wandered to a tree, strapped it on there, come back in the morning, nothing. So now I've had this little bit of insight into what I'm looking for, I'm going to try and find something that will tell me I'm in an area where there are some sort of deer for me to film. The chances are it's going to be roe deer, fallow deer, maybe red deer, I don't know. I don't know what deer live in this environment. I really need to look it up when I get home. But we're going to take a walk and we're going to see if we can find anything that will indicate to me that it might be a good place to put the trail cam. So let's get on with it. Well, I've discovered something. So I'm going to go in close and have a look. What we've got here is a couple of tracks. See the curve here and the curve there, and the same there and there, and down here as well. A definite curve. Now, from my limited experience, I do know that that is a deer track. It could be, unlike the experts, we'll struggle to tell if it's front rear, but it could be, quite often as not, the rear steps over the front ones as they walk along, so it can be a bit confusing. But no, that is definitely a deer track. It's quite thin here, which lends me to think it possibly could be a roe deer. Definitely not a red deer, because it would be much bigger. The fallow deer has more of a curve to it just here. So I don't know, it might be. But I'm going to walk on a little bit further and see, following the direction of these prints. Well, we've come about 20 metres and just found this going in the same direction as the other tracks. Now, it's not a lot. Let's see if we can get in close. But it's some droppings, and they're sort of cylindrical with a little pointy end there. Now, I think, I may be wrong, but I think if they were fallow deer, they would be more or less cylindrical all the way along. But the fact that it's got that little point on the end, if I remember rightly what we were told, that could indicate it was roe deer. Now it's only only a little bit there, but just to check, I've just been up and down this little section here, about 10 metres, and I found 2 more little piles like that. They were pretty well buried into the grass, that's why I've used these just to have a look at, because they're out in the open more. So at the moment the trail's heading towards that coppice of trees, so I'm going to head over there and put the trail cam up and leave it there all night and see what happens. Oh, right, let's get going. Now what there is a definite trail going through there. So just for tonight, while I'm here, I've fixed the trail cam to this tree, and I'm not hopeful of getting anything, but if anything does come through there, it should pick it up in the night. So I'll follow this trail a little bit further, see if we can find any more sign, and we'll come back and get this in the morning before we go home. Well, that's it. Almost. The sun's gone down, probably got about half an hour of daylight left. It's predicted to be -4 or -5 tonight. Get this fire going, and that's going to help, obviously. What else are we going to do? Oh yes, when it gets dark, the reason I want to be near a bit of open ground, which was where we were when we were looking at tracks, I want to go out and do a bit of stargazing. I'm going to take the other camera. I've got a Panasonic Lumix with me. I'm getting that words out. Not sure what I'm doing with it. My best mate's a photographer. He's muttered something to me about ISOs and f-stops and all this palaver. I'll press a few buttons and see what happens. I am going to see him though in the meantime, and he will teach me to be proficient with this instrument eventually, if he's got the patience of yeah. Anyway, so crack on with the fire, and then we might speak to you later in the night if there's anything worth speaking about. Okay, just a bit of an update. It's 10 o'clock. Things not going quite as well as they should. The fire was brilliant. It's keeping me lovely and warm in here. So much so that I've had to hang out of the sleeping bag. The only problem is the breeze that I hoped was going to pick up hasn't. So what's happened is all the smoke from the fire has been swirling around, and this canopy is causing some type of airflow, which as it warms up, which is sucking the smoke in. So I've been choking for the last 4 hours. Nowhere to go. This is my bed, so I've got no choice but to try and let the fire go out, which is a shame because it was lovely and warm. So at the moment the fire's down there, and we've just got bits of smoke coming off it, still coming in. I don't know if you can see down here. I've got head torch on there. Let's have a look here. I don't know if you can see all the ash that's literally blowing in to the canopy. I've had to go back as far as possible to keep out of it. Anyway, life is what it is, and we're not going to let it stop us enjoying it. So I'm going to get my head down, and hopefully with some nice fresh air coming in soon, and I can get a good night's sleep. See you in the morning. Oh, morning. It's 7:30. I think the temperature's changed in the night. I think it's about just about 1 degree, so warmer than the last few mornings. Still got to persuade myself to get out of this sleeping bag, but it has to be done. So I'm going to get up and start breaking the camp down, and I'm going to take a walk and go retrieve the trail cam. Oh, this is the bit I hate. Right, I'll get my boots fastened up, maybe put another coat on, see where we go from there. If you have a look here, noticed, let's go this way. Looking at the leaves now, I can see that they are frozen. And if you look at the back of the tent here, stop the strap swinging around, you can see that it's all iced up. So yeah, temperature is probably still below freezing, but lovely morning, just waiting for the sun to come up. While I'm packing away, I'll just mention one or two things that I brought with me. You've seen the pan. I've also got water bottle here from the bushcraft store, and one of their small cooking pots. The idea of this is this and this, they will both fit inside the firebox, so it makes it a lot easier when you've got your embers to regulate your heat by dropping it and lowering it. With this, I could just boil the water in it by slotting it into the firebox. As for the firebox, I liked it, but I would only use it in certain circumstances, maybe a day walk. I've been on one or two survival courses, and one of the questions they always say to you is, give me a reason for fire. And everybody always says the obvious things, you know, to cook food, boil water, to make signals with, to get warm. But one of the ones I'd put right at the top of the list, not necessarily at the top, but near the top, is morale. You sit out here in freezing weather, it's nice in the daytime, maybe, lovely daylight day, but when it gets dark and you've just got the darkness and the sounds of the forest, when you see those flames flickering, you might be tired and you might be feeling a bit down. Maybe things haven't gone as well as they should that day, but as soon as you get a flame going, that boosts morale so much. It's an invaluable part of making fire. So it's a nice thing to have if you like to cook on an open fire but don't want to have to build a big one. But I'd probably not use it that often, only on day trips. Again, because in the pack, if I'm on the move, it's a bit too heavy to be carrying around with me. But yeah, it's a nice thing to have, but it's a luxury, not a necessity. So that's it. We've left the site as we found it, as usual. We just got to go pick the trail cam up now. Well, here we are, home again, safe and sound, back in my man cave. Yeah, I know it's a caravan, alright. Just a little mention about one or two of the things that we saw, just a little bit more information, which I've got on the screen there. The knife, well, that's made out of 0290 MCV8 shock resistant carbon steel. Had to think about that. And the handle's made of Paduk African hardwood, so it's quite good quality stuff, and that particular steel is more or less designed for the type of job that we were using that knife for. Then of course we come to the Gen firebox, Gen 2, I think that means generation 2. The only thing I'd like to add with that is it's heavy, but it's very good quality. You can tell by the feel of it and the look of it and the way it works. And just to learn about what you can do with it, if you go through the Bushcraft store site, they've got a link to the video on there. I go on YouTube and put in the firebox, and there is 30 or 40 minute instruction article about it by the manufacturers, telling you everything you want to know, right down to cleaning it. So have a look at that if you're interested in having one. And finally, the tracking business. Well, the next day, as you'll see from the pictures here, I found all sorts of sign while I was wandering around on my way to the trail cam and after I picked it up and making my way back out of the woods. So for those of you who are interested in looking at poo, well, I've put a little bit of that down there. And did we get anything on the trail cam? Let's take a look. Well, that wasn't fantastic. I ain't going to win any awards. David Attenborough's not going to be calling anytime soon for my services, but I'm happy. It's the first time I've actually caught something on that trail cam. So onwards and upwards. That's it for me. Until next time. So bye for now.